This is not the kind of story you're used to hearing. It's not just about a billionaire or a genius or a man who builds rockets. It's a quieter story, one that begins in the warm light of a South African afternoon. With a boy, a book, and a dream so strange no one quite believed it, not even him. Elon Musk is a name we hear often on the news, in tweets, on cars passing quietly down electric roads. But before the world knew him, before he became the richest man alive, he was just a lonely child, sitting in his room, reading science fiction stories and wondering what it would feel like to live on another planet. This is the story of that boy, of how he grew up in a house filled with shadows and stars, and how he would go on to build companies that changed the way we drive, how we power our homes, how we speak to each other, and even how we leave this planet. But this story isn't told with loud headlines or dramatic music. No. Tonight, it's told like a bedtime story, one detail at a time, one moment after another. It's like how life unfolds, slowly and quietly. You don't need to know all the facts. You don't need to understand every invention. All you need to do is listen. Let your mind settle in as we go back to 1971 in the city of Pretoria, where a boy who barely spoke, who got lost in his thoughts, began to wonder why the world was the way it was and how he might change it. Close your eyes if you'd like. Get comfortable and drift gently into the story of Elon Musk, because this is the entire story told from the very beginning, and you can fall asleep whenever you want. The story will still be here, waiting for you. The night hums gently outside. A soft breeze rustles the leaves. And somewhere, beneath that hush, begins a story. It starts in Pretoria, South Africa, a quiet suburb with quiet streets, lined with jacaranda trees. The year is 1971. A baby boy is born in the summer heat of June. Bright-eyed, pale-skinned, and unusually still, he doesn't cry as much as expected. He watches. He absorbs. His name is Elon Musk. To the world, he is decades away from becoming a household name. To his family, he is already something else. A child who feels a little distant, a little strange, a little too intense. Elon grows up in a home filled with contrast. His mother, May Musk, is stunning, intelligent, and tough. Oh, a Canadian-born model and dietitian, she poses for covers in the day and raises 3 children in the evenings. She teaches Elon independence, not by coddling him, but by letting him solve his own problems. His father, Elon Musk, is a complex man. A mechanical and electrical engineer, he's brilliant in the way engineers often are. Sharp with machines, cold with people. He has strong opinions and a short temper. And their home is large, with high ceilings, but emotionally cold. There are books in every room, a small library of science, philosophy, and fiction. But there's also tension. Long silences at dinner. Rules, but little affection. Elon spends most of his time not talking, but reading. He devours books like oxygen. By the time he is 9, he's already read through entire encyclopedias. He's memorized science fiction novels. He's fascinated by Isaac Asimov's Foundation series, which plants early seeds in his mind. Ideas about intelligent life, about the future of humanity, about civilizations rising and falling. His brain, even as a child, works like a machine. Curious, obsessive. One idea leads to another, and another, and another. He doesn't just read for fun, he reads to understand. School, however, is a very different world. It's noisy, crowded, confusing. He's not like the other boys. He's awkward in conversations, often drifting mid-sentence into deep thought. He rarely plays sports. He daydreams constantly about space, about electrons, about making something useful. He's often misunderstood. Teachers think he's unfocused. Peers think he's weird. And some, they don't just avoid him. They target him. At school, Elon is relentlessly bullied. He is the smallest in his class, soft-spoken, visibly different. At one point, the beatings are so severe that he ends up in the hospital with a broken nose and damaged face. He has to undergo surgery to correct the damage. Even when he heals physically, the emotional toll lingers. He tries to hide it, especially from his mother, but the fear stays with him of walking into the playground, of being cornered, of being alone. And yet, even in that pain, something starts forming in Elon's young mind. He begins to build mental armor to escape into code, to survive using logic. At home, things don't offer much refuge. When he is just 8 years old, his parents divorce. He chooses to live with his father, believing at first that he'll learn more from him, or maybe that he'll understand him. But this, Elon would later say, was one of the worst decisions of his life. He rarely speaks in detail about what happened, but when he does, his words are haunting. You have no idea how bad my father is. He was such a terrible human being. There are whispers of emotional manipulation, deep cruelty, and moments that scarred Elon's view of the world and of people. For a boy already bullied at school, the home became another battlefield. But amid the pain, something remarkable happens. At the age of 10, Elon is given a gift that would change everything. His first computer, a Commodore VIC-20. It comes with 5 kilobytes of memory, a clunky manual, and the potential to create entire worlds out of logic. Elon is captivated. Where others see a toy, he sees a universe. He teaches himself programming not in a few months, as the manual recommends, but in just 3 days. He learns BASIC. He learns logic trees. He learns how to bend the machine to his will. Then, at the age of 12, he builds his first product, a simple scrolling space game called Blaster, inspired by the arcade games he admired but couldn't afford. He writes the code himself. It's rudimentary, barely playable by today's standards, but it works. He sells it to a computer magazine for $500. He's not even in high school yet. Still, life in apartheid-era South Africa remains grim. The country is under strict racial segregation laws. The future seems limited, stifled by politics, poverty, and tradition. Elon begins to sense it deeply. He's not meant to stay here. He dreams of the United States, of rockets, of innovation, of Silicon Valley, though he doesn't even fully understand what it is yet. But he knows, if he wants to build rockets, if he wants to reach Mars, or design machines that shape the world, he needs to get out. And so, he makes a decision. At the age of 17, Elon packs his few belongings, a duffel bag, a sleeping bag, a few books, and the rest in his head. He uses his mother's Canadian citizenship to secure a passport. And in 1989, he boards a plane alone to Canada. He has barely a few $100s, no fixed address, no certainty, just a belief, a feeling that somewhere out there, the world is waiting for him. He stays with distant relatives. He takes odd jobs shoveling dirt in a lumber mill, cleaning boilers at a farm. The work is exhausting, dirty, but it doesn't matter. Because for the first time, Elon feels something new, freedom, and it's worth pausing here to picture that boy, thin, pale, with messy hair and wire-rimmed glasses. sunglasses, wearing secondhand clothes, sleeping on a couch or a basement floor, but thinking, always thinking, about rockets, about AI, about electricity grids and Mars colonies, about companies that don't yet exist and problems that haven't yet been solved. He isn't loud, he isn't confident yet, but he's committed, and that in the end might be the most important quality of all. There's a quote Elon once referenced from The Lord of the Rings: "Not all those who wander are lost." That was him. He wandered across cities, across ideas, across disciplines, but he wasn't lost, not even close. He was building something invisible, layer by layer, like code, like a plan, like a rocket blueprint waiting for the fuel. And soon the engines would ignite. So as you drift off now, picture a boy lying on a worn-out mattress in a dusty room, the hum of a space heater. In the background, stacks of books beside his bed, an open notebook with equation, a half-eaten sandwich on the desk. He stares up at the ceiling, not wondering if he'll change the world, but how. He doesn't know it yet, but one day, the world will look up and say his name with awe, with anger, with admiration, but always with attention, because the boy who was bullied, the boy who once spoke in whispers and wrote games in solitude, would become the man who built the future. Soft music swells, a gentle rhythm like stars breathing. And so ends the first chapter. But the story is just beginning. In the next chapter, we follow young Elon across North America, from couch surfing to classrooms, from software dreams to PayPal's billions, and in the first steps toward changing how the world moves. Stay close, stay comfortable. The story continues soon. From South African dust to Canadian winters, from grain silos to Ivy League classrooms, from boiler rooms to midnight house parties, the journey has only begun. In the next chapter, Elon steps into the wild frontier of the internet, where fortunes are made, risks are high, and PayPal is just a spark waiting to ignite. Stay with us. Let your thoughts slow. And the story will continue soon. The early morning sun rises over California. Quiet streets bathed in gold. Palm trees sway gently in the breeze. And somewhere amid the hum of computers and coffee machines, a young man wakes up on the floor of a tiny rented office. He stretches. His back aches from the thin mat. He reaches for a toothbrush in his backpack and heads down the hall to the gas station bathroom. This is Elon Musk's life in 1995. He's 24 years old, fresh out of the University of Pennsylvania. No real job, no car, just a beat-up old computer and a vision. But to understand why he's here, we need to go back just a little. After graduating from Penn, Elon had two clear paths. He'd been accepted into a PhD program at Stanford to study energy physics and material science, cutting-edge research, noble work. His professors encouraged it, but Elon was restless. It was 1995, and the internet was exploding. Startups were launching overnight. People were building websites, tools, companies changing the world with code. And Elon, he didn't want to study change. He wanted to build it, so he flew to California. Spent 2 days at Stanford. Sat in on a couple of classes, and then walked out. Just like that. He dropped out after 48 hours. Instead, he took 2 internships to learn more about the real world. One was at Pinnacle Research Institute, working on ultracapacitors experimental tech meant to replace conventional batteries. The other was at a company called Rocket Science Games, which, despite the exciting name, wasn't very successful. But it introduced Elon to the startup scene in Silicon Valley, where ideas flew faster than funding, and failure was just part of the journey. He didn't know it yet. But his own startup wasn't far off. Elon joined forces with his younger brother, Kimball Musk. The two were close, not in personality, but in spirit. Elon was introverted, methodical, always calculating. Kimball was outgoing, charismatic, a natural connector. Together, they had balance. They pooled their savings around $28,000 and rented a tiny office in Palo Alto. They called their new company Global Link Information Network, but later renamed it Zip2. The idea was simple, but ahead of its time. In 1995, most businesses had no online presence. There were no Google Maps, no Yelp, no digital directories. Zip2 would be an online city guide, combining maps, business listings, and eventually advertising space for local newspapers. It was local commerce going digital. But in those early days, there was no glamour. They couldn't afford an apartment, so they slept in the office, showered at the YMCA, and ate cheap takeout from nearby shops. Elon programmed for 20 hours a day, writing code, debugging lines, building features from scratch. He had no formal computer science training, but he'd taught himself as a kid, and now it was paying off. Their first big break came when a venture capital firm took notice and invested $3 million in Zip2. Suddenly, they were no longer just two scrappy brothers in a rented room. They had employees, real desks, a shot at something bigger. But with money came pressure. The investors began bringing in professional managers. They sidelined Elon from the CEO position, arguing he was too inexperienced to lead. He didn't fight it, not yet. Instead, he focused on building the tech. He didn't love it, but he understood. Sometimes, to play the long game, you have to lose a round. Zip2 kept growing. And soon, big companies were interested. In 1999, Compaq, then one of the largest computer manufacturers, offered to buy Zip2 for $307 million. It was an enormous number. And just like that, the deal went through. Elon Musk walked away with $22 million. He was 27 years old, no longer sleeping on floors, no more YMCA showers. He could have stopped there, bought a house, invested in stocks, lived a comfortable, anonymous life. But Elon never wanted to be rich for comfort. He wanted wealth as a tool to shape the future. And now he had that tool in his hands. He didn't waste time. Within weeks, Elon was looking for the next big idea. He sat down and asked himself, where is the world headed? Where are the biggest inefficiencies? What's broken and worth fixing? He made a list of 5 areas he believed would shape the next century: the internet, sustainable energy, space exploration, artificial intelligence, reprogramming human biology. These weren't business niches. They were existential questions. And Elon wanted to touch all of them. But for now, one stood out. He noticed how banking was still stuck in the past. Sending money was slow. Opening accounts was tedious. And the idea of online banking was still new and mistrusted. Elon believed the space was ripe for disruption. So he took $12 million of his Zip2 money and launched a new company, X.com, a fully online financial services platform where users could send and receive payments with just an email. It was radical. People laughed at the name. said online finance would never catch on. But Elon had seen the future, and he was already building it. Back in Palo Alto, he bought his first house, a modest home compared to what he could afford, but comfortable. And his first McLaren, a 541, a supercar worth $1 million. There's a now famous video clip of Elon showing off the car in a hoodie, chuckling as he says, "It's not a car, it's a piece of art." And then he promptly crashed it. No insurance, no injuries. Just a very expensive reminder that even the most focused minds can be impulsive. Meanwhile, X.com was gaining traction fast. They merged with a rival fintech startup called Confinity, founded by Peter Thiel and Max Levchin. That merger created what we now know as PayPal. The team was stacked with future stars: Reid Hoffman, who would later co-found LinkedIn, Peter Thiel, future billionaire investor, and a quiet coder named David Sachs. They called themselves the PayPal Mafia, and their mission was to revolutionize online payments. But as with Zip2, conflict returned. Elon was named CEO, but soon faced internal resistance. He wanted to switch the platform's architecture to Microsoft servers. Others disagreed, saying Unix was more stable. Tensions escalated. In 2000, while Elon was on honeymoon with Justine in Australia, the board voted to remove him as CEO. When he landed, he was out. Just like that. He was devastated, not because of ego, but because he genuinely believed in the mission. And still, he kept his shares, stayed involved. And a year later, PayPal sold to eBay for $1.5 billion. Elon's share, around $180 million. He was now wealthy beyond reason. But again, he didn't stop. Because with that kind of money, he could finally go after his real dreams. He'd been thinking about it since college, reading about Mars, studying rocket fuel, sketching out designs on napkins. Now, the idea wasn't just a fantasy. He wanted to build a rocket company, a real one, from scratch. Everyone told him it was crazy. He didn't care. But that's a story for the next chapter. Tonight, rest on this image. A young man with tousled hair and tired eyes, curled up on a beanbag in a startup office, surrounded by wires, empty coffee cups, and a whiteboard filled with formulas. He's not after fame or even fortune. He's after the impossible. And slowly, steadily, he's making it real. Soft music fades in. That's how dreams start, not with perfection, but with stubbornness. Sleep on that thought tonight. And in the next chapter, we go to space, not metaphorically, but literally, where rockets fail and rise and fail again until something incredible happens. Close your eyes. Rest easy. The future is waiting. From South African dust to Canadian winters, from grain silos to Ivy League classrooms, from boiler rooms to midnight house parties, the journey has only begun. In the next chapter, Elon steps into the wild frontier of the internet, where fortunes are made, risks are high, and PayPal is just a spark waiting to ignite. Stay with us. Let your thoughts slow. The story will continue soon. The early morning sun rises over California. Quiet streets bathed in gold. Palm trees sway gently in the breeze. And somewhere amid the hum of computers and coffee machines, a young man wakes up on the floor of a tiny rented office. He stretches. His back aches from the thin mat. He reaches for a toothbrush in his backpack and heads down the hall to the gas station bathroom. This is Elon Musk's life in 1995. He's 24 years old, fresh out of the University of Pennsylvania. No real job, no car, just a beat-up old computer and a vision. But to understand why he's here, we need to go back just a little. After graduating from Penn, Elon had two clear paths. He'd been accepted into a PhD program at Stanford to study energy physics and material science, cutting-edge research, noble work, and his professors encouraged it, but Elon was restless. It was 1995, and the internet was exploding. Startups were launching overnight. People were building websites, tools, companies changing the world with code. And Elon, he didn't want to study change. He wanted to build it, so he flew to California. Spent 2 days at Stanford. Sat in on a couple of classes, and then walked out. Just like that. He dropped out after 48 hours. Instead, he took 2 internships to learn more about the real world. One was at Pinnacle Research Institute, working on ultracapacitors experimental tech meant to replace conventional batteries. The other was at a company called Rocket Science Games, which, despite the exciting name, wasn't very successful. But it introduced Elon to the startup scene in Silicon Valley, where ideas flew faster than funding, and failure was just part of the journey. He didn't know it yet, but his own startup wasn't far off. Elon joined forces with his younger brother, Kimball Musk. The two were close, not in personality, but in spirit. Elon was introverted, methodical, always calculating. Kimball was outgoing, charismatic, a natural connector. Together, they had balance. They pooled their savings around $28,000 and rented a tiny office in Palo Alto. They called their new company Global Link Information Network, but later renamed it Zip2. The idea was simple, but ahead of its time. In 1995, most businesses had no online presence. There were no Google Maps, no Yelp, no digital directories. Zip2 would be an online city guide, combining maps, business listings, and eventually advertising space for local newspapers. It was local commerce going digital. But in those early days, there was no glamour. They couldn't afford an apartment, so they slept in the office, showered at the YMCA, and ate cheap takeout from nearby shops. Elon programmed for 20 hours a day, writing code, debugging lines, building features from scratch. He had no formal computer science training, but he'd taught himself as a kid, and now it was paying off. Their first big break came when a venture capital firm took notice and invested $3 million in Zip2. Suddenly, they were no longer just two scrappy brothers in a rented room. They had employees, real desks, a shot at something bigger. But with money came pressure. The investors began bringing in professional managers. They sidelined Elon from the CEO position, arguing he was too inexperienced to lead. He didn't fight it, not yet. Instead, he focused on building the tech. He didn't love it, but he understood. Sometimes, to play the long game, you have to lose a round. Zip2 kept growing. And soon, big companies were interested. In 1999, Compaq, then one of the largest computer manufacturers, offered to buy Zip2 for $307 million. It was an enormous number. And just like that, the deal went through. Elon Musk walked away with $22 million. He was 27 years old, no longer sleeping on floors, no more YMCA showers. He could have stopped there, bought a house, invested in stocks, lived a comfortable, anonymous life. But Elon never wanted to be rich for comfort. He wanted wealth as a tool to shape the future. And now, he had that tool in his hands. He didn't waste time. Within weeks, Elon was looking for the next big idea. He sat down and asked himself, where is the world headed? Where are the biggest inefficiencies? What's broken and worth fixing? He made a list of 5 areas he believed would shape the next century: the internet, sustainable energy, space exploration, artificial intelligence, reprogramming human biology. These weren't business niches. They were existential questions. And Elon wanted to touch all of them. But for now, one stood out. He noticed how banking was still stuck in the past. Sending money was slow. Opening accounts was tedious. And the idea of online banking was still new and mistrusted. Elon believed the space was ripe for disruption. So he took $12 million of his Zip2 money and launched a new company, X.com, a fully online financial services platform where users could send and receive payments with just an email. It was radical. People laughed at the name, said online finance would never catch on. But Elon had seen the future, and he was already building it. Back in Palo Alto, he bought his first house, a modest home compared to what he could afford, but comfortable. And his first McLaren, a 541, a supercar worth $1 million. There's a now famous video clip of Elon showing off the car in a hoodie, chuckling as he says, "It's not a car, it's a piece of art." And then he promptly crashed it. No insurance, no injuries. Just a very expensive reminder that even the most focused minds can be impulsive. Meanwhile, X.com was gaining traction fast. They merged with a rival fintech startup called Confinity, founded by Peter Thiel and Max Levchin. That merger created what we now know as PayPal. The team was stacked with future stars: Reid Hoffman, who would later co-found LinkedIn, Peter Thiel, future billionaire investor, and a quiet coder named David Sachs. They called themselves the PayPal Mafia, and their mission was to revolutionize online payments. But as with Zip2, conflict returned. Elon was named CEO, but soon faced internal resistance. He wanted to switch the platform's architecture to Microsoft servers. Others disagreed, saying Unix was more stable. Tensions escalated. In 2000, while Elon was on honeymoon with Justine in Australia, the board voted to remove him as CEO. When he landed, he was out. Just like that. He was devastated, not because of ego, but because he genuinely believed in the mission, and still he kept his shares, stayed involved. And a year later, PayPal sold to eBay for $1.5 billion. Elon's share, around $180 million. He was now wealthy beyond reason. But again, he didn't stop. Because with that kind of money, he could finally go after his real dreams. He'd been thinking about it since college, reading about Mars, studying rocket fuel, sketching out designs on napkins. Now, the idea wasn't just a fantasy. He wanted to build a rocket company, a real one, from scratch. Everyone told him it was crazy. He didn't care. But that's a story for the next chapter. Tonight, rest on this image. A young man with tousled hair and tired eyes, curled up on a beanbag in a startup office, surrounded by wires, empty coffee cups, and a whiteboard filled with formulas. He's not after fame or even fortune. He's after the impossible. And slowly, steadily, he's making it real. Soft music fades in. That's how dreams start, not with perfection, but with stubbornness. Sleep on that thought tonight. And in the next chapter, we go to space, not metaphorically, but literally, where rockets fail and rise and fail again until something incredible happens. Close your eyes. Rest easy. The future is waiting. The dawn of a new millennium was upon us. The year was 1999, a time when the internet was beginning to unravel the threads of the old world and stitch together something entirely new. It was an era of optimism, chaos, and wild ambition. The dot-com boom was exploding, and entrepreneurs across Silicon Valley were racing to build the future, one pixel at a time. Among these pioneers was a man who had already tasted success, but hungered for something far greater. Elon Musk, 27 years old, fresh off the sale of Zip2 and armed with a $22 million bankroll, was about to dive into one of the most audacious ventures of the decade. This chapter is the story of X.com, one of the world's first fully online banks, and how it grew, stumbled, merged, and ultimately transformed into the financial giant we now know as PayPal. But it's not just about the technology or the business deals, it's about the people, a unique crew of visionaries, rebels, and future titans of tech, known collectively as the PayPal Mafia, and it's about the turbulent leadership struggles that almost tore it apart. Launching X.com, banking's new frontier. In 1999, banking was an experience few would call pleasant. Lines at branches, paper checks, tedious forms, slow transactions most banks still relied on decades-old infrastructure. Online banking was in its infancy, often insecure and mistrusted. But Elon Musk saw an opportunity. He believed that money, the lifeblood of commerce, was stuck in the past. Why should moving money be slow and difficult in a world that was increasingly instant and digital? His vision was bold: create a fully online financial services platform that would let people send money, pay bills, and even manage investments all from their computer. And not just that. Elon imagined a platform that was simple, elegant, and user-friendly, where your email address was your bank account, where sending money was as easy as sending a message. He called his new company X.com, a name that reflected the unknown, the mystery, the limitless potential of the internet. Starting in a modest office in Palo Alto, Elon threw himself into the work with relentless energy. The stakes were high. $12 million of his own fortune was on the line, but he saw it as an investment in the future. He assembled a small but talented team of engineers, marketers, and finance experts, all obsessed with one goal: disrupt the banking industry. Every day was a battle. Servers crashed, bugs appeared, security concerns loomed large. Customers were skeptical. Banks warned of fraud. Regulators asked tough questions. But slowly, X.com began to build a loyal user base. People loved the convenience of paying friends and businesses with just an email address. Slowly, Elon's vision was coming to life: Confinity and the power of merger. Meanwhile, just a few blocks away, a rival startup was making waves. Confinity. Founded by Peter Thiel and Max Levchin, Confinity was working on a similar idea: a way for users to send payments digitally. Their early product, designed for Palm Pilots, the pocket-sized handheld computers popular at the time, allowed people to send money securely without carrying cash. Peter Thiel was a philosopher turned entrepreneur. Calm, calculating, and fiercely intelligent, he believed that the internet could change money itself. Max Levchin was a coder's coder, brilliant at cryptography and software engineering. Together, they had built a startup with promising technology and a passionate user base. But Confinity lacked the financial backing and scale that Elon's X.com enjoyed. The two companies were locked in fierce competition. The battle was intense. Cash was burning fast on marketing, servers, and talent. Both startups realized that their fighting might mean death for both. In a move that surprised many, the companies merged in 2000. The The new company combined the strengths of both teams, the banking ambitions of X.com and the technical prowess of Confinity. But mergers bring challenges. Culture clashed, priorities diverged, and egos collided. One question loomed large. What would the new company be called? X.com was bold but abstract. Confinity was obscure. After debate, they settled on a name that captured their vision simply: PayPal. A name that was friendly, approachable, and memorable. The birth of PayPal and rapid growth. PayPal launched with a mission to revolutionize online payments. Their platform allowed users to send money instantly with just an email address. It was secure, fast, and easy. Sellers on eBay, the growing online auction site, rapidly adopted PayPal because it simplified transactions and reduced fraud. Word spread fast. PayPal's user base exploded from thousands to millions within months. The company became one of the hottest startups in Silicon Valley. But success brought new challenges. The platform needed to scale rapidly. Servers had to handle soaring traffic. Fraud detection became critical. The ease of sending money also made PayPal a target for scammers. Elon and his team worked around the clock. New features were added. Marketing campaigns launched. Investor interest skyrocketed. But internal tensions simmered beneath the surface. Boardroom battles and Elon's ousting. Despite Elon's visionary leadership, his tenure as CEO was turbulent. The merger brought together strong personalities with differing opinion. Elon was a man of bold ideas and rapid execution. He advocated for migrating PayPal servers to Microsoft technology, believing it was more scalable and integrated. But many, including Max Levchin and Peter Thiel, preferred Unix-based systems, citing stability and security. The disagreement wasn't just technical. It was a battle of philosophies. Elon's assertiveness rubbed some the wrong way. Critics labeled him stubborn and impulsive. In 2000, while Elon was on his honeymoon in Australia with his wife, Justine, the PayPal board convened. In a tense, secretive meeting, they voted to remove Elon as CEO. When Elon returned, the news hit him like a thunderclap. He was out. The shock was deep. Not for pride, but because he truly believed in the mission. Elon's vision had built the foundation for PayPal. Being removed felt like a betrayal. But he didn't lash out. He didn't burn bridges. Instead, he retained his shares and stayed on as a significant stakeholder. The PayPal Mafia, a new Silicon Valley dynasty. Though Elon was no longer CEO, the company's momentum was unstoppable. PayPal continued to grow at a staggering pace. Behind the scenes, the core team was quietly rewriting the rules of finance and tech. This group, Peter Thiel, Max Levchin, Reid Hoffman, David Sachs, and others, would later be known as the PayPal Mafia. Each member would go on to found or fund some of Silicon Valley's most iconic companies: LinkedIn, YouTube, Yelp, Palantir, and more. Their influence on tech and culture is still felt today. PayPal was their proving ground. The $1.50 billion eBay acquisition. In 2002, just a few years after its founding, PayPal caught the attention of eBay. The online auction giant recognized that PayPal was the safest and most popular way for users to exchange money on their platform. eBay acquired PayPal for $1.5 billion in stock. Elon Musk's share of the sale was around $180 million. For most, this would be the pinnacle. A chance to retire, relax, and enjoy life. But for Elon, it was just fuel. Fuel to chase even bigger dreams. Looking ahead, The rocket and the dream. With his newfound wealth, Elon didn't settle for comfort. His mind was already elsewhere. Since childhood, he'd been obsessed with space. Mars wasn't just a planet. It was a challenge, a destination for humanity's future. And now, he had the means to pursue it. He began researching rocket science, reaching out to experts, and sketching designs. He wasn't content to wait for governments or corporations. He wanted to build a private company that could reach the stars. This dream, impossible to many, would soon become his next great adventure. Tonight, let this thought lull you to sleep. A young man, sitting quietly in his modest home, holding a check for millions, yet restless. His eyes fixed on the night sky. He knows the next chapter is not about money. It's about making humanity multiplanetary. It's about rockets, failures, persistence, the kind of stubbornness that turns dreams into reality. And it all started with X.com, an email, a payment, a revolution. Close your eyes, let your breath slow. The future is vast, and the journey has only just begun. After the whirlwind success of PayPal, most people would have expected Elon Musk to slow down, to finally enjoy some peace, some comfort, some well-earned luxury. After all, by 2002, at just 30 years old, Elon was worth roughly $180 million. Many would consider that a jackpot, enough to live a lifetime without worry. But Elon was not like most people. Instead of settling, he did the unthinkable. He took almost every dollar he had made and divided it between 3 enormous bets on the future. 3 ventures that seemed wildly risky, far-fetched, and impossible even to the most optimistic investors. SpaceX, a private aerospace company determined to revolutionize space travel with the ultimate goal of colonizing Mars. Tesla Motors, an electric car company aiming to prove that electric vehicles could be exciting, fast, and practical, not just eco-friendly alternatives. SolarCity, a solar energy company focused on making renewable energy affordable and accessible to homeowners across America. In total, Elon reportedly invested over $100 million of his own money into these ventures over the coming years, money he couldn't afford to lose. Mordier, SpaceX, rockets, explosions, and near bankruptcy. In 2002, Elon founded Space Exploration Technologies Corporation, or SpaceX. He had a vision so bold that many thought he was simply chasing a fantasy to build rockets from scratch at a fraction of the cost charged by government space agencies, and to eventually send humans to Mars. SpaceX's headquarters started humbly, a converted warehouse in El Segundo, California, staffed by a small group of engineers, many of them recent college graduates. Their task, to design and build the Falcon 1, a small liquid-fueled rocket intended to be the first privately developed liquid-fueled rocket to reach orbit. But rocket science is unforgiving. The first launch attempt was in March 2006. The rocket rose a few hundred meters before losing pressure and crashing into the ocean. The second attempt, in March 2007, failed again due to a fuel leak and fire shortly after launch. The third launch, in August 2008, also ended in failure. The rocket's engine shut down early, causing it to fall back to Earth. These failures were catastrophic for SpaceX's reputation and finances. Each launch cost millions of dollars, money Elon was personally funding. Employees worked 80 to 100-hour weeks, often sleeping in the office or on the factory floor, pushing to fix every problem. At one point, Elon had to personally visit investors, convincing them to provide more funding despite the setbacks. And yet, the company was dangerously close to bankruptcy. Had the fourth Falcon 1 launch failed, it's likely SpaceX would have folded. On September 28, 2008, Falcon 1 succeeded, becoming the first privately developed liquid-fueled rocket to reach Earth orbit. The triumph was a breakthrough and the beginning of a new era in private spaceflight. Tesla Motors, electric dreams amid financial turmoil. While SpaceX battled for survival in the skies, Tesla Motors was fighting an equally difficult battle on the ground. Founded in 2003 by Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning, Tesla aimed to prove that electric cars could be not just efficient, but thrilling. When Elon joined as chairman and major investor, he threw himself into the company's flagship project, the Tesla Roadster. The goal was to build a high-performance electric sports car with a range of over 200 miles per charge, unheard of at the time. But the road was rocky. Tesla's engineering team struggled with battery technology, drivetrain design, and manufacturing logistics. Early prototypes faced overheating issues and limited range. The company ran out of money multiple times. In 2008, Tesla was on the brink of collapse. Production delays and escalating costs pushed the company to the edge. Elon personally loaned Tesla millions using his own credit and even borrowing from friends. At one point, he reportedly lived off credit cards to keep the company afloat. Tesla also faced skepticism from the automotive industry and media. Electric cars are toys for the rich and environmentally obsessed, critics said. And yet, Elon's belief never wavered. He famously worked 100-hour weeks, often sleeping on Tesla's factory floor. His vision extended beyond a single car. He imagined an entire ecosystem of affordable, high-performance electric vehicles powered by renewable energy. SolarCity, powering homes with the sun. Meanwhile, Elon's cousins, Lyndon and Peter Rive, had started SolarCity in 2006 with a mission to bring solar energy to millions of American homes. Elon saw the potential immediately and became the company's chairman and largest investor. SolarCity aimed to make solar power affordable by financing installations and offering long-term leases, removing the huge upfront cost barrier for homeowners. The company grew rapidly, installing over 3,500 solar systems in its first 2 years. But the solar industry was still in its infancy. SolarCity faced challenges such as supply chain issues, competition from fossil fuel energy providers, and skepticism from customers unfamiliar with solar technology. Yet with Elon's support and deep pockets, SolarCity became one of the largest residential solar installers in the U.S. within a few years. Living on the edge, loans, sacrifices, and personal struggles. Despite his hundreds of millions in net worth, Elon's lifestyle during these years was surprisingly modest, even austere. Much of his wealth was tied up in his companies. He rented a small house in Los Angeles. Often he slept in his factories, offices, or even on sofas during crunch times. His personal expenses were minimal. He had no lavish parties, no extravagant vacations. In fact, Elon reportedly sold most of his possessions, including cars and homes, to free up cash for his ventures. There were stories of him living on loans, borrowing from friends and family, just to cover personal expenses. He once said in an interview, "I don't want to be the richest man in the cemetery." His focus was on impact, not luxury. The crisis year, 2008. 2008 was the defining moment of this era. The global financial crisis had tightened credit markets worldwide. Investors were pulling back. Both SpaceX and Tesla were perilously close to running out of money. SpaceX faced its fourth Falcon 1 launch, a make-or-break moment. Elon had invested tens of millions to prepare for it, money that would be lost if the rocket failed again. The launch took place on a remote island in the Pacific, the Kwajalein Atoll. On September 28, 2008, Falcon 1 lifted off. Unlike the previous attempts, this time the rocket performed flawlessly. It reached Earth orbit, delivering a payload to space. It was a historic achievement, the first privately developed liquid-fueled rocket to reach orbit. The success saved SpaceX and restored faith among investors and customers. But Tesla was still in trouble. The Roadster was finally entering production, but the company was burning cash fast. At one point, Tesla had only a few weeks of operating capital left. Elon poured more of his personal funds into Tesla, even as SpaceX demanded more money. Tesla secured a $465 million loan from the U.S. Department of Energy in 2009, which was instrumental in stabilizing the company. Against all odds, the years that followed were a grueling test of endurance. SpaceX had to prove its rockets could deliver payloads reliably. Tesla had to ramp up production and convince the market that electric cars could compete. SolarCity had to scale and fight against entrenched energy providers. Despite setbacks, explosions, delays, and near bankruptcies, Elon's vision never faltered. His stubbornness became a defining trait. He famously said, "When something is important enough, you do it, even if the odds are not in your favor." By 2010, Tesla had its IPO, becoming the first American car company to go public since Ford. SpaceX was launching cargo missions to the International Space Station. SolarCity was rapidly expanding its solar installations nationwide. What betting it all really means, Elon Musk's story during this time is not just about business or money. It's about an unrelenting belief in the future. A willingness to risk everything on what others called impossible. It's about late nights fueled by determination. It's about bouncing back from failure and refusing to quit. It's about betting everything, your money, your reputation, your sanity on a dream. And slowly, but surely, turning that dream into reality. Tonight, as you drift to sleep, picture Elon in those years. The stress etched on his face, the midnight oil burning, the rockets rising and crashing, the electric cars inching forward, the solar panels glinting in the sun. Remember, great change rarely comes without risk. And sometimes, the greatest stories start with someone willing to bet it all. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. The future is waiting. In the years following 2008, Elon Musk's three bets, SpaceX, Tesla, and SolarCity, evolved from fragile startups to powerful engines driving some of the most profound technological revolutions of our time. This chapter dives deep into that era. The rockets that reached for the stars, the cars that redefined performance, and the solar panels that promised a cleaner future. We'll also explore how Elon's growing fame contrasted with his private nature and how his legendary work ethic shaped these ventures. SpaceX, from Falcon 1 to Falcon 9 and the ISS missions. After the Falcon 1's historic success in 2008, SpaceX was finally on the map, but the real challenge was just beginning. The Falcon 1 was a small rocket, just 21 meters tall, designed to carry light payloads to orbit. It proved the concept that private companies could build and launch rockets, but it wasn't enough to compete with governments and big aerospace corporations. SpaceX's next step was ambitious: the Falcon 9. A giant leap in design, the Falcon 9 was nearly 70 meters tall, with 9 powerful Merlin engines. It was built to carry much larger payloads, satellites, cargo, and eventually humans into space. Building Falcon 9 was a massive engineering challenge. SpaceX's engineers developed many new technologies, including the powerful Merlin engines and the Octaweb engine configuration that improved reliability and efficiency. The stakes were high. NASA had just announced its Commercial Orbital Transportation Services (COTS) program, aimed at partnering with private companies to deliver cargo to the International Space Station, ISS. SpaceX won one of the contracts, a monumental breakthrough. But the path was far from smooth. The first Falcon 9 flight in June 2010 was mostly successful, but a few anomalies showed SpaceX still had bugs to work out. Then, in December 2010, SpaceX made history again. The Dragon spacecraft successfully orbited Earth and returned safely, the first commercial vehicle to do so. It was proof that private companies could build spacecraft that could one day carry astronauts. In May 2012, SpaceX accomplished a critical milestone. The Dragon capsule docked with the ISS, delivering cargo to NASA astronauts. It was the first time a private spacecraft ever reached the ISS, marking a turning point in space exploration. Between 2010 and 2015, SpaceX launched Falcon 9 rockets dozens of times, refining reliability and expanding capabilities. Along the way, they pioneered rocket reusability, landing Falcon 9's first stages vertically on drone ships, a feat once thought impossible, aimed at slashing costs dramatically. Every failure was a lesson, every success a step closer to Elon's dream of colonizing Mars. Tesla Roadster Model S in production hell. Tesla's journey was no less dramatic. The Tesla Roadster, launched in 2008, was a sports car that defied expectations. It was the first production automobile to use lithium-ion battery cells. It accelerated from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 4 seconds. It had a range of over 200 miles, unheard of for electric vehicles then. But the Roadster was a niche vehicle, expensive, and built in limited numbers. The real challenge was building an electric car for the mass market. Enter the Model S. Unveiled in 2012, the Model S was a luxury sedan with a futuristic design, cutting-edge battery technology, and impressive performance. It won awards for safety and design, setting new standards for electric cars. But getting the Model S into production was a nightmare. Tesla faced production hell, as Elon later described it. The company struggled to ramp up manufacturing capacity, dealing with supply chain bottlenecks, battery issues, and quality control problems. Factories ran around the clock. Elon spent nights sleeping on the factory floor to oversee operations firsthand. Employees remember him walking the assembly lines, personally troubleshooting problems, often working alongside factory workers. Tesla's cash burn was enormous. Investors were nervous. Media critics questioned whether Tesla could ever produce cars at scale. Yet Elon pushed relentlessly. He believed that solving these manufacturing challenges was essential to prove electric cars could compete with gas-powered vehicles. Tesla eventually overcame these hurdles, delivering the Model S in volume by 2013, earning widespread acclaim and helping shift the auto industry toward electrification. SolarCity and energy dreams. While rockets soared and cars sped ahead, SolarCity quietly grew to become the largest residential solar power provider in the United States. Founded in 2006 by Elon's cousins Lyndon and Peter Rive, SolarCity's vision was to accelerate the adoption of solar energy by making it affordable and accessible. Elon's investment and leadership helped the company scale rapidly. SolarCity pioneered innovative financing models like solar leases and power purchase agreements, enabling homeowners to install solar panels with little or no upfront cost. By 2013, SolarCity was installing over 25 megawatts of solar panels each month, powering tens of thousands of homes. This rapid expansion helped drive down the cost of solar energy, pushing the entire industry forward. SolarCity also developed the gigawatt-scale solar factories to increase production and reduce costs. Despite occasional criticism, including concerns about subsidies and long-term financial sustainability, SolarCity became a critical player in the renewable energy transition, becoming a public figure, fame, shyness, and the SNL moment. By the early 2010s, Elon Musk was no longer just a tech entrepreneur. He was a public figure. He was known not just for his companies, but for his vision of the future, his bold statements, and sometimes controversial behavior. Yet, beneath this larger-than-life persona was a man who described himself as quite shy and socially awkward. Elon's public appearances often revealed a mix of intense focus and subtle discomfort. He preferred to let his work speak for itself, but he couldn't avoid fame forever. One of the biggest moments came in May 2021 when Elon hosted Saturday Night Live by SNL. Millions tuned in to watch the CEO, known for rockets and electric cars, step into the spotlight as a comedian. His hosting was met with mixed reviews. Some praised his willingness to engage with popular culture. Others found his awkward delivery endearing or cringeworthy. The episode cemented his status as a celebrity entrepreneur, a figure as familiar to the public as Hollywood stars. Despite this, Elon remained deeply private about his personal life. Hands-on style and legendary work ethic. One of the defining characteristics of Elon Musk's leadership is his extreme hands-on approach. Elon is famously involved in the technical details of his companies. At SpaceX, he was known to dive deep into rocket engine designs and manufacturing processes. At Tesla, he was personally involved in battery technology, car design, and factory logistics. Employees recall his near-constant presence in the factories, often troubleshooting problems late into the night. He would send emails at 2 a.m. with detailed instructions or technical questions. Elon's work ethic is legendary. He reportedly works 80 to 100 hours per week regularly, sometimes sleeping in his office or on the factory floor. His approach isn't just about hard work, it's about relentless problem solving and a refusal to accept failure. He has described his management style as feedback-driven, expecting rapid responses and immediate corrections when issues arise. This intense environment has driven innovation, but also led to burnout and turnover. Yet those who thrive under his leadership often describe the experience as transformative, pushing the boundaries of what's possible. The big picture. By the mid-2010s, Elon Musk's ventures were no longer just startups, but established companies reshaping entire industries. SpaceX was a leader in commercial spaceflight. Tesla was driving the global shift to electric vehicles. SolarCity was pioneering renewable energy adoption. But these successes came at a personal cost. The relentless pace took a toll on Elon's health and relationships. Yet his vision for the future remained unshaken. He continued to push forward, believing that the world's biggest problems required bold solutions and relentless determination. Tonight, as you drift to sleep, imagine a scene. A vast factory floor humming with machinery, rockets in assembly, cars on the production line, panels soaking up sunlight, and in the midst of it all, a man who refuses to rest. With a vision that stretches beyond Earth, beyond profit, beyond fame, a man betting on the future. One rocket, one car, one solar panel at a time. Close your eyes. Breathe in. The future is now. Elon Musk's public persona is often defined by his grand visions, colonizing Mars, revolutionizing transportation and creating a sustainable energy future. But behind the technological marvels and business triumphs lies a profoundly human story, one marked by love, loss, persistence, and sometimes very public struggles. This chapter explores the quieter, often painful moments of Musk's personal life, revealing the man behind the headlines, the husband, father, partner, and individual trying to balance the impossible demands of fame, family, and ambition. Justine Musk, early marriage, and devastating loss. Elon met Justine Wilson at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario, in the late 1990s. Justine was a writer, a creative soul who later published a fantasy novel and numerous essays on parenting and grief. They married in 2000, embarking on a partnership that combined intellectual curiosity with shared ambition. Their first son, Nevada Alexander Musk, was born in 2002. But tragedy struck swiftly and mercilessly. Nevada died of sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS, at just 10 weeks old. This form of infant mortality, though rare, is one of the leading causes of death among infants under 1 year old, with estimates suggesting approximately 3,500 infants die from SIDS annually in the United States alone. For Elon and Justine, it was a devastating blow that would shadow their early years of marriage. Justine later wrote in detail about the loneliness and grief, describing how the loss shaped their emotional landscape. The pain was compounded by the fact that they had no other children at the time to anchor their hopes. Quintuplets and parenthood's complexities. Despite the heartbreak, life moved forward. In 2004, Justine gave birth to twins, Griffin and Xavier Musk. 2 years later, in 2006, she gave birth to triplets Damien, Saxon, and Kai. The odds of naturally conceiving quintuplets are extraordinarily slim, roughly 1 in 55 million. Raising 5 young boys simultaneously was a monumental challenge. Elon was in the thick of building SpaceX and Tesla at this time, working famously long hours, sometimes 85 to 100 hours per week. He admitted that, despite his love for his children, his work often took precedence due to the scale of his ambition. Justine took on much of the hands-on parenting, often juggling childcare with her own writing career. The Musk children have stayed largely out of the public eye, a deliberate choice to protect their privacy. Elon has spoken occasionally about his love for his children, but also his regrets over not spending enough time with them during their formative years. The end of a marriage, divorce from Justine. The strain of Elon's workload and the grief from their loss contributed to the eventual dissolution of their marriage. Elon and Justine divorced in 2008. Justine has publicly stated that Elon's intense work ethic and the emotional toll of their losses created irreparable distance. In interviews, she described their relationship as a partnership built on mutual respect but challenged by differing priorities. Their split was amicable enough, with Elon maintaining a role in their children's lives. Yet it marked the end of a significant chapter in Musk's personal story. Tallulah Riley, a love marked by repeats and rumors. In 2010, Elon married British actress Tallulah Riley. Their relationship was marked by passionate highs and confusing lows. They divorced in 2012, remarried in 2013, and divorced again in 2016. Tallulah once described their relationship as complicated, both deeply affectionate but fraught with tension. Their second marriage lasted 3 years before ending permanently. The on-again, off-again nature of their relationship played out partially in public, though both tried to keep many details private. Despite their divorce, Tallulah remained supportive of Elon's work, sometimes speaking about the immense pressures he faced. This cycle of marriage, divorce, and remarriage revealed the personal cost of balancing extraordinary ambition with intimate relationships. Enter Grimes, the artist and the visionary. In 2018, Elon began dating Claire Boucher, known professionally as Grimes, a Canadian musician, singer, and visual artist. Grimes represented a departure from Musk's previous relationships. Their bond was rooted in shared interests, futurism, artificial intelligence, and boundary-pushing creativity. And the pairing sparked widespread fascination and sometimes bewilderment in the media and public. Together, they have pushed cultural norms, especially with the birth of their son. In May 2020, Grimes gave birth to their son, XAE-A12 Musk. The name is a carefully constructed symbol of their values and influences. X represents the unknown variable in mathematics. AE is a character from the Elven spelling of AI, standing for artificial intelligence. A12 is a nod to the Lockheed A12, a reconnaissance aircraft known for speed and stealth, which Elon admired. Due to California state laws prohibiting numerals in names, the name was later modified to XAEASHE. In December 2021, they had a daughter, Exa Dark Citadel Musk, nicknamed Y. Grimes has described Elon as very private and a genius, but also very sensitive, highlighting the delicate balance they maintain between public curiosity and private life. Public and private pressures, social media, and mental health. As Elon's fame grew, so did the intensity of public scrutiny. He became a dominant presence on Twitter, where his tweets have shaped stock prices, influenced markets, and sparked controversies. Some notable episodes include the infamous funding secured tweet in August 2018, where Elon claimed he was considering taking Tesla private at $420 per share. This triggered an SEC investigation and settlement that forced him to step down as Tesla chairman and pay a $20 million fine. Tweets during the COVID-19 pandemic, including calls to reopen the economy and skepticism about lockdowns, which divided public opinion. Insensitive tweets, such as the one mocking a British cave rescuer involved in the 2018 Thailand cave rescue, which led to widespread criticism and a public apology. Despite the controversies, Elon uses Twitter as his primary communication channel, sharing updates, teasing new projects, and occasionally interacting with fans. His tweets sometimes reveal raw emotion, frustration, humor, fatigue. Elon has spoken openly about his struggles with mental health, including bouts of depression and insomnia. In a candid 2017 Rolling Stone interview, he said, "It's a mistake to think that the process will be easy. Being an entrepreneur is like eating glass and staring into the abyss of death. The weight of expectations and the personal toll." Elon's personal life has been shaped by the immense pressures of his public role. He balances leadership at multiple companies simultaneously: Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink. The Boring Company, each with ambitious goals and tight deadlines. The mental and physical toll is significant. He has described working 120-hour weeks, sleeping on factory floors, and neglecting his own health in pursuit of deadlines. His relationships have suffered as a result. In a rare interview, Elon acknowledged, "There have been times when I've had to choose work over family, and I regret that." The relentless drive that fuels his success also creates isolation. Elon's personal tragedies, from losing a child to the challenges of parenting in the public eye, remind us of his humanity. Reflecting on Elon Musk's complex humanity, Tonight, think about the paradox that is Elon Musk, a man capable of launching rockets and changing industries, but also a man who has faced profound grief and personal challenges. He is at once brilliant and flawed, visionary and vulnerable. His story reminds us that even those who seem superhuman wrestle with love, loss, and the weight of expectation. As you drift off, let this thought settle. The future belongs not just to those who dream, but to those who endure. And Elon Musk endures carrying the hopes of many while carrying his own private burden. When you're ready, we can dive into the next chapter, Elon's Mars mission and the quest to make humanity a multiplanetary species. By the end of the 2010, Elon Musk was more than just a CEO. He had transformed into a cultural phenomenon, a digital provocateur whose online presence was as influential as his groundbreaking work in electric vehicles and space exploration. Nowhere was this more evident than on Twitter, a platform Musk turned into his personal stage. This chapter explores the metamorphosis of Elon Musk into a meme king, a cryptocurrency influencer, and ultimately the owner of Twitter itself. We'll dive into the timelines, reactions, and consequences of Musk's most iconic tweets, his impact on meme culture and cryptocurrency, his infamous SNL appearance, his battles with the SEC, and how it all culminated in a $44 billion acquisition of the very platform that helped him rewrite the rules of corporate communication. The rise of the meme king. Musk's journey into internet stardom didn't begin overnight. In his early Twitter years, he maintained a relatively professional presence, tweeting updates about Tesla, SpaceX, and his ventures with a dash of personality. But post-2016, something changed. Suddenly, Elon was tweeting pictures of anime characters, referencing obscure memes and joking about flamethrowers, tunnels, and existential threats from AI. He tweeted quotes from Rick and Morty, bantered with teenagers, and made irreverent jokes about politics, pop culture, and even his own companies. In many ways, he became a surrealist CEO, unfiltered, enigmatic, and unignorable. His irreverent tone resonated deeply with the internet generation. Subreddits dedicated to Musk sprouted overnight. Meme accounts turned his every utterance into viral gold. He tweeted, "I love anime," and the internet lost its mind. He posted polls asking if he should sell Tesla stock and followed through with billions in transactions. This wasn't corporate social media. This was chaos, strategic chaos. Musk understood that attention is currency, and he wielded it better than anyone. Cryptocurrency and Dogecoin, from joke to juggernaut. Musk's foray into cryptocurrency wasn't just disruptive, it was seismic. Though he'd previously spoken favorably about Bitcoin and Ethereum, it was Dogecoin that truly captured his imagination. Dogecoin began as a joke in 2013, mocking the proliferation of altcoins with a Shiba Inu dog as its mascot and an intentionally inflationary supply. It was never meant to be serious. But Musk's attention changed everything. One tweet from Musk could cause double-digit gains. When he called Dogecoin the people's crypto, its market cap exploded. He playfully referred to himself as the Doge Father, sparking millions of trades. Significant events include April 2021, Musk tweeted Doge barking at the moon with an artwork of a dog howling on a lunar surface. Dogecoin soared over 20% overnight. May 2021, Musk tweeted that SpaceX would launch a mission paid entirely in Dogecoin. The project, Doge 1, became the first crypto-funded space mission. Critics accused him of manipulating the market. Supporters believed he was democratizing finance. The SNL moment and crypto's volatility. On May 8th, 2021, Musk hosted Saturday Night Live, marking a rare moment when a tech CEO entered the world of sketch comedy. Leading up to the show, Dogecoin's price surged in anticipation. The internet buzzed with speculation about what Musk might say. Many believed it would validate Dogecoin as a legitimate currency. Instead, in a sketch playing a financial analyst, Musk's character admitted Dogecoin was a hustle. The crypto plummeted nearly 30% in minutes. It was a lesson in volatility and in the power Musk wielded with words. Despite the dip, Musk's hosting was historic. He revealed his Asperger's diagnosis on live television, adding another layer to his public persona. Fans praised his courage. Critics derided the stunt. But once again, Elon had dominated the narrative. Bitcoin, Tesla, and the environmental reversal. In early 2021, Tesla shocked the world by purchasing $1.5 billion in Bitcoin and briefly accepting it as payment for vehicles. The move pushed Bitcoin's price to new highs and validated crypto in the eyes of many traditional investors. But in May, Musk reversed course. Citing environmental concerns about Bitcoin mining's reliance on coal, he halted vehicle purchases with Bitcoin and called on miners to use cleaner energy. Crypto markets tanked. Billions in market value were erased. Once again, a single tweet from Musk shifted the global financial landscape. He later tweeted that Tesla would resume Bitcoin transactions once sustainable energy usage exceeded 50%, illustrating a tightrope act between innovation and responsibility. Legal trouble. The funding secured fiasco. Perhaps no tweet landed Musk in hotter water than his infamous 2018 declaration. "Am considering taking Tesla private at $420. Funding secured." The tweet appeared to confirm a buyout deal, causing Tesla's stock to soar. But the SEC quickly found that the funding was not, in fact, secured. Musk and Tesla were fined $20 million each. Musk stepped down as chairman for 3 years and agreed to have certain tweets pre-approved by legal counsel. It was a historic case of a tweet triggering a federal investigation and a precedent for the power and peril of CEO social media use. Still, the ordeal didn't slow Musk. He continued tweeting with fervor, often skirting the edge of compliance. Twitter as a battlefield, moving markets, and mocking Wall Street. Musk's tweets frequently moved Tesla's stock. A few key examples. May 2020, Tesla stock price is too high IMO. Result, $14 billion in market cap erased. November 2021, Musk ran a Twitter poll on whether he should sell 10% of his Tesla shares. He followed through, causing a major dip in the stock. He mocked short sellers relentlessly, even selling short shorts on Tesla's website. The SEC winced. The internet laughed. His influence extended beyond Tesla. When Musk tweeted about Signal, the messaging app, investors mistakenly bought stock in Signal Advance, sending it up 11,700% before anyone realized it was the wrong company. His tweets about GameStop, AMC, and Robinhood during the meme stock frenzy of 2021 aligned him with retail investors, further positioning him as an anti-establishment figure. From power user to platform owner. In April 2022, Musk announced he had bought 9.2% of Twitter. He then offered to buy the entire company for $44 billion, citing free speech concerns and a desire to reform the platform. The move stunned Silicon Valley. Twitter initially resisted, then accepted. The deal was chaotic, with Musk attempting to back out due to bot concerns. Lawsuits followed, but in October 2022, Musk walked into Twitter HQ carrying a sink and tweeted, "Let that sink in." He had taken control. Immediately, he began slashing jobs, revamping policies, and unbanning previously banned accounts. Twitter became X in 2023, with Musk envisioning it as an everything app akin to China's WeChat. Under his ownership, Twitter X became an experiment in radical transparency, chaotic governance, and unfiltered speech. The meme king's digital kingdom. Elon Musk didn't just use Twitter, he had conquered it. He turned his account into a megaphone, a meme machine, a marketplace mover, and ultimately, a weapon. He blurred the lines between CEO, celebrity, and internet troll. He weaponized attention and redefined what executive communication looks like in the 21st century. From Dogecoin to Tesla stock, from SNL to SEC lawsuits, Musk's tweets carried the weight of government press releases. And in taking over Twitter, he ensured he would never be silenced. In a world where information is power, Musk made tweets into tools of empire. And as we drift into the next chapter of his story, one thing remains clear. Elon Musk doesn't follow the narrative. Picture a crisp San Francisco evening in 2022, the city's fog curling around the glass towers of Twitter's headquarters, where a bluebird logo glows softly against the skyline. Inside, the air is electric with uncertainty as whispers of change ripple through the halls. Across the continent, in a quiet moment under a starlit Texas sky, Elon Musk, now 50, sits with his phone, his mind racing with ideas about free speech and the future of discourse. The platform that's been his megaphone, where he's shared memes, sparred with critics, and rallied milliensis at a crossroads. This is the story of how Elon, the dreamer from Pretoria, set out to buy Twitter, sparking a saga of surprise, chaos, and ambition. Let these words settle over you like a warm blanket. The rhythm is soothing as a lullaby, carrying you into a tale of battles, visions, and a platform reborn as X. Elon's fascination with Twitter began years earlier. In 2017, he tweeted questions about its commitment to free speech, frustrated by what he saw as censorship of certain voices. By January 2022, he was quietly buying shares, amassing a 9.1% stake by April, making him Twitter's largest shareholder at a cost of about $2.9 billion, based on a share price of roughly $39.30. Twitter's board, led by CEO Parag Agrawal, invited him to join as a director, a role that would cap his ownership at 14.9%. On April 5th, Elon accepted, tweeting his excitement to make significant improvements. But days later, on April 11th, he flipped, declining the seat. Instead, on April 14th, he stunned the world with an unsolicited $44 billion offer to buy Twitter outright at $54.20 per share, 38% premium over the April 1st closing price of $39.31. I invested in Twitter as I believe in its potential to be the platform for free speech around the globe, he wrote in a letter to the board, calling it his best and final offer. Twitter's board countered with a poison pill strategy on April 15th, allowing shareholders to buy more stock at a discount to dilute Elon's influence, a classic defense against hostile takeovers. But the resistance crumbled. On April 25th, after intense negotiations, the board unanimously accepted the $44 billion deal, swayed by the premium and Elon's relentless vision. He framed the purchase as a mission to create a common digital or town square, promising to open source algorithms, fight spam bots, and loosen content moderation. Yet, critics like Greg Benzinger of the New York Times argued it was about controlling a megaphone, not just free speech, while Elizabeth Dwoskin of *The Washington Post* called his vision outdated and impractical. Posts on X buzzed with polarized reactions at Service 2, Leo hailed Elon as saving democracy with his $44 billion purchase, while others mocked his impulsiveness. The path to ownership was rocky. By June 6th, Elon tried to back out, claiming Twitter withheld data on spam accounts, which he estimated at over 20% of users, far above Twitter's reported 5%. His attorney sent a letter threatening to terminate the deal, citing breaches of the merger agreement. Twitter sued on July 12th in Delaware's Chancery Court, accusing Elon of buyer's remorse as tech stocks tanked, with Twitter's shares dropping to $36.81 by July 8. Text messages revealed in court showed Elon's inner circle oracles, Larry Ellison, Twitter's Jack Dorsey, and investor Antonio Gracias, urging him on, with Gracias texting, "Free speech matters most when it's someone you hate." Elon responded with memes, including one of a laughing chimpanzee, as ex-users turned the saga into a cultural spectacle, joking about his flip-flopping. The court set a trial for October 17th, but on October 4th, Elon reversed course, agreeing to close the deal by October 28th to avoid a ruling. On October 27th, 2022, the deal closed. Elon walked into Twitter's San Francisco headquarters, carrying a porcelain sink, tweeting, "Let that sink in," a pun that sparked a flood of memes across X, from sink emojis to parodies of Elon as a chaotic overlord. He became CEO, firing Agrawal, CFO Ned Siegel, legal chief Vijaya Gadde, and general counsel Sean Edgett, who were escorted out by security, a move that shocked staff expecting voluntary resignations. Agrawal's drafted resignation letter went unsent, his email access cut off mid-process. Elon tweeted, "The bird is freed," signaling his intent to reshape Twitter, but chaos followed. On November 4th, he laid off 3,700 employees, half of Twitter's 500-strong workforce via email, citing a need to cut costs as the company lost $4 million daily. 2 weeks later, on November 16th, he issued an ultimatum: commit to extremely hardcore work for Twitter 2.0 or leave with 3 months severance. Hundreds resigned, reducing staff to about 1,500, an 80% cut. The layoffs sparked outrage. Former employees flooded Blind, an anonymous forum, with complaints, while Jack Dorsey apologized on X for growing Twitter too fast. The FTC and Ireland's Data Protection Commissioner raised concerns about privacy and compliance. X-users trolled the chaos, with Tumblr mocking Twitter's new $8 blue check subscription, which led to a surge of fake verified accounts impersonating brands like Nintendo and Eli Lilly, causing stock dips and public confusion. Asterisk Business Insider Asterisk report noted that only 2 of 70 top advertisers remained on X by September 2023, down from 31 a year earlier, as ad revenue plummeted 60%. The platform's valuation fell to $19 billion by October 2023, a 71% drop from the $44 billion purchase price. Elon's free speech vision stirred debate. He restored accounts like Jordan Peterson, Kathy Griffin, the Babylon Bee, and Donald Trump, whose ban since January 2021 for inciting violence was lifted, though Trump stayed on Truth Social. But he suspended anti-fascist accounts and parody accounts targeting him, prompting accusations of hypocrisy from Jacobin's Branko Marcetic. Hate speech surged, with the Anti-Defamation League reporting 1,200 anti-Semitic tweets post-acquisition, fueled by relaxed moderation and the end of Twitter's COVID-19 misinformation policy. A 2023 BBC Panorama investigation flagged rising child sexual abuse content and asterisk. The Intelligencer asterisk noted spam like pussy and bio posts evading filters, which Elon himself joked about on X. He met civil rights activists and proposed a content moderation council, echoing Mark Zuckerberg's post-2016 Facebook moves. But critics like Politico's Jack Schafer predicted chaos and failure. Elon's everything app vision took shape. He merged Twitter into X Corp in April 2023, rebranding it as X on July 23, 2023, with the domain switching to x.com by May 17, 2024. Inspired by WeChat, he added features like long-form posts, audio-video calls, job search, and integration with xAI's Grok chatbot, aiming for a platform where users could do anything. He renamed Birdwatch to Community Notes and scrapped legacy features like circles and NFT profile pictures. By June 2023, Linda Yaccarino succeeded him as CEO, with Elon focusing on product design. X-users like Robinson Nuera called the acquisition the greatest gift to free speech, while at GBrew24 noted Elon's attempt to back out, forced by courts. Despite the turmoil, Elon told the BBC in April 2023 that X saw record high usage, though advertisers remained wary. As you drift through this tale, imagine the glow of a San Francisco office at midnight, the hum of a platform reborn, the flicker of a dreamer's vision. Elon Musk, now steering X, is no longer just the boy from Pretoria. He's a force reshaping how the world speaks. Close your eyes, let these words lull you, and rest in the quiet promise of a story still unfolding under a boundless digital sky. We are in Boca Chica, Texas, where the stars burn bright above a sprawling launch site and the silhouette of a gleaming Starship rocket stands against the horizon. It's 2025, and Elon Musk, now 54, walks the sandy grounds of SpaceX's starbase, his eyes fixed on the towering spacecraft that holds his boldest dream, a human colony on Mars. The air hums with the distant hum of machinery, a testament to his relentless pursuit of a multiplanetary future. This is the story of Elon's vision to carry humanity beyond Earth, weaving together the rockets, brain implants, tunnels, and artificial intelligence, all in service of a future where our species thrives among the stars. Let these words settle over you like a soft breeze. Their rhythm is gentle as a lullaby, carrying you into a tale of ambition, fear, and hope for humanity's long journey ahead. Elon's Mars dream began decades ago, rooted in his childhood love for science fiction and his belief that humanity must become multiplanetary to survive. Eventually, something will happen on Earth that will eliminate life as we know it, he warned at Vivatech in Paris on May 23, 2024, referencing cataclysms like the asteroid that ended the dinosaurs. SpaceX, founded in 2002, became his vehicle for this vision. By 2025, its Starship standing 120 meters tall, with a 9-meter diameter and a payload capacity of 150 metric tons, the most powerful rocket ever built. Unlike traditional rockets, Starship is fully reusable, with its super heavy booster designed to land back at Starbase, slashing launch costs from $200 million to under $90 million per flight. On November 19, 2024, SpaceX achieved a milestone, catching the super heavy booster with mechanical chopstick arms during Starship's 5th test flight, a feat Elon called science fiction made real on X. He aims to land an uncrewed Starship on Mars by 2028, with crewed missions by 2030, targeting a self-sustaining colony of 80,000 people by 2040. We must make life multiplanetary, he tweeted on May 26, 2025, noting Mars' 26-month orbital alignment with Earth for launches. This vision extends to other ventures. The Boring Company, founded in 2016 after Elon tweeted about traffic frustration, aims to revolutionize transportation with tunnels. By 2025, it has completed the 1.7-mile Las Vegas Convention Center loop, carrying 4,400 passengers hourly in Tesla vehicles at 40 miles per hour. Its proof rock boring machines drill at 1 mile per week, 7 times faster than traditional methods. Elon envisions tunnels on Mars, connecting bases in a low-pressure atmosphere, ideal for Hyperloop, a concept he open-sourced in 2013. Hyperloop's pressurized capsules, propelled by magnetic levitation in low-pressure tubes, could reach 760 miles per hour, linking Martian colonies into a network. Though Hyperloop faces earthly skepticism, Francois Lecote called it a techno-intellectual scam. Elon sees it as vital for a Martian society. The Boring Company's $675 million valuation in 2022 reflects investor faith, despite abandoned projects like Toulouse's Hyperloop test track. Neuralink, founded in 2016, is another piece of the puzzle. Inspired by Ian M. Banks' Neural Lace from the Culture series, it develops brain-computer interfaces, BCIs, to merge humans with technology. By May 2023, Neuralink gained FDA approval for human trials, and on January 29, 2024, Elon announced the first human implant, enabling a quadriplegic patient to control a phone via thought. The implant, with 1,024 electrodes on threads thinner than hair, 4.6 micrometers, reads brain signals with unprecedented precision. By 2025, Neuralink's valuation hit $9 billion after raising $600 million, with plans for blind sight to restore vision. Elon sees Neuralink enhancing Martian settlers' ability to interface with AI-driven systems, accessing knowledge instantly. Yet, controversy shadows it. PETA and the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine alleged monkey mistreatment in trials with UC Davis from 2017-2020, claims Neuralink disputes. Elon's relationship with AI is complex, marked by fear and advocacy. In 2012, he met DeepMind's Demis Hassabis, who warned that superintelligent AI could outpace humanity, even following us to Mars. Alarmed, Elon invested $5 million in DeepMind to monitor its progress. At his 2013 Napa Valley birthday, he debated Google's Larry Page, arguing AI's existential risks. AI could render humanity extinct, he told Timnit Gebru at Stanford, downplaying climate change's threat by comparison. In 2015, he co-founded OpenAI with Sam Altman to develop safe artificial general intelligence, AGI, pledging $1 billion. OpenAI's mission was to ensure AGI benefits humanity, but by 2018, Elon left the board, citing conflicts with Tesla's AI work and disagreements over direction. ChatGPT's 2022 launch, with 100 million users by January 2023, underscored OpenAI's shift to commercialization, which Elon criticized as woke and profit-driven. In 2023, Elon launched XAI, aiming to understand the true nature of the universe. Its Grok chatbot, released in 2024, reached 1 million users by May 2025, competing with ChatGPT by prioritizing truth-seeking over political correctness. The safest thing for AI is to be maximally truth-seeking, Elon said at VivaTech 2024. XAI's team, with veterans from DeepMind and OpenAI, leverages Starlink's 1.5 million user network for data. By 2025, XAI's valuation hit $24 billion, fueled by a $6 billion funding round. Elon's AI fears persist. The signed a 2023 letter calling for a 6-month AI development pause, citing risks of superintelligence. Critics like Jacobin's Branko Marcetic argue his control over X and XAI contradicts his open-source advocacy, But supporters on X, like at Robinson New Era, call XAI a gift to truth. Elon's ventures interlink for Mars. Starship transports settlers. The Boring Company builds tunnel networks. Neuralink enhances human-AI synergy. XAI powers autonomous systems. At Blake Linton on X noted Optimus robots using Tesla and XAI tech could construct Martian bases, farming, and infrastructure. Starlink's laser-linked satellites, tested by NASA in 2021, promise 100x faster data transmission for Mars bases. Elon envisions a Martian society reflecting the best human values, with cooperation and innovation, potentially reshaping Earth's social models. Yet challenges loom Starship's 33 Raptor engines, using methane producible on Mars via the Sabatier reaction, face technical hurdles. Neuralink's 200x data compression goal for BCIs was called outlandish by Roy Van Ryn. Hyperloop's economic viability remains unproven, with projects like California's $9 billion plan stalled. By June 2025, Elon's net worth is $250.4 billion per Forbes, making him the world's richest person. His companies face scrutiny. Tesla's full self-driving beta, used in 1.2 million vehicles, is under NHTSA investigation for crashes. Neuralink faces ethical probes. XAI's all-male team of 12 sparked diversity critiques. Still, Elon presses on. At a May 24th, 2025 SpaceX update, he outlined a road to making life multiplanetary, predicting a 2028 Mars landing. He sleeps in Tesla's factory rooms, tweeting on May 24th, 2025, about working 24/7 on X, XAI, and Tesla to roll out critical technologies. Critics like The Atlantic's Karen Howe call his AI stance contradictory, promoting XAI while warning of AI's dangers. Supporters on X, like at Ametis Investing, argue Neuralink could benefit most from AI advances. As you drift through this tale, imagine the red dust of Mars under a starship's shadow, the hum of a Neuralink implant, the whisper of tunnels beneath a new world. Elon Musk, the dreamer from Pretoria, is building a future where humanity reaches beyond Earth, driven by fear of extinction and hope for survival. Close your eyes. Let these words lull you, and rest in the quiet promise of a journey to the stars, unfolding under a boundless cosmic sky. The stars twinkle above a sprawling estate, and Elon Musk, now 54, sits alone on a balcony, his silhouette framed against the vast sky. The hum of crickets fills the air, a soft counterpoint to the restless energy of a man who's reshaped the world, yet still gazes upward, as if searching for answers among the constellations. This is the epilogue of his story, a tale not of rockets or empires, but of the heart that drives them, the connections forged and broken, and the loneliness that lingers at the peak of ambition. Let these words wrap around you like a warm embrace. The rhythm is gentle as a bedtime story, carrying you into the final chapter of a life that's both extraordinary and deeply human. What drives Elon Musk? Is it a fear of insignificance? A need to etch his name into the universe's fabric? At a May 23rd, 2024 Viva Tech conference in Paris, he said, "I want to be part of something that matters, something that outlasts me." Perhaps it's a need to help, rooted in his belief that humanity's survival depends on becoming multiplanetary. SpaceX, valued at $350 billion in 2025, aims for a Mars colony by 2030, with Starship's 150-ton payload capacity making it feasible. Tesla, worth $1.03 trillion, has delivered 1.97 million electric vehicles in 2024, per its Q4 report, pushing sustainable energy. Yet ego plays a role too. "I'm not trying to be anyone's savior," he told the New York Times in 2020, but his actions, like buying Twitter for $44 billion in 2022, suggest a desire to control narratives, to be the arbiter of truth. On X, at Amit is Investing, praised his vision to save humanity, while at Gbrew24 called him a narcissist chasing glory. His drive seems a blend of all three: a fear of fading, a mission to serve, and an ego that thrives on defying limits. Elon's life is a tapestry of friends and enemies, woven with loyalty and conflict. Allies like Kimball Musk, his brother, co-founded Zip2 and stood by him through Tesla's near-bankruptcy in 2008. Larry Ellison, Oracle's founder, invested $1 billion in Tesla in 2018, calling Elon a close friend at a 2020 shareholder meeting. Antonio Gracias, of Valor Equity Partners, backed SpaceX early, texting Elon in 2022, "You're changing the world," during the Twitter saga. Yet enemies abound. Former Twitter CEO Parag Agrawal, ousted after the acquisition, never spoke publicly but was described by Bloomberg as bitter over his abrupt exit. Sam Altman, OpenAI's co-founder, clashed with Elon after he left the board in 2018, with Elon criticizing OpenAI's shift to profit-driven AI in a 2023 X post. The SEC, after fining him $20 million for his 2018 funding-secured tweet, remains a thorn, with ongoing probes into Tesla's full self-driving claims as of May 2025. On X, at Trubinson lauded Elon's defiance, while at service to Leo called his feuds petty distractions he's admired and reviled, a polarizing figure whose shadow looms large. At the top, Elon is often alone. His personal life marriages to Justine Wilson and Tallulah Riley, his relationship with Grimes, and the birth of their son, XAEA12, in 2020, has been turbulent. By 2025, he's father to 12 children, including twins with Neuralink's Shivanzilis. In 2021, yet he's admitted to the Wall Street Journal, in 2023, "I'm not good at being emotionally available." Friends describe private moments, late-night talks at Tesla's Gigafactory, where he sleeps on a couch, or quiet dinners where he sketches Mars bases on napkins. But his 100-hour work weeks, documented in a 2024 Forbes profile, leave little room for connection. "I don't have time for loneliness," he tweeted on May 24th, 2025. Yet his X posts hint at isolation, like a 2023 musing, "The stars are beautiful, but they don't talk back." His wealth dollar, $250. $4 billion per Forbes and Fame, with 208 million X followers, amplify his solitude, a king on a throne of his own making. Reflections on Elon reveal a man of contradictions. "I'd rather be an optimist and be wrong than a pessimist and be right," he told TED's Chris Anderson in 2012, a mantra driving SpaceX's 370 successful launches by 2025, and Neuralink's first human implant in 2024. Yet, he's cautioned against unchecked ambition, telling the BBC in 2023, "If we don't control AI, it could control us." His legacy is vast. Tesla's 5.5 million total vehicle deliveries by 2024, Starlink's 1.5 million users, and xAI's Grok, reaching 1 million users in 2025. Critics like The Atlantic's Karen Howe call him a hypocrite for warning about AI while building xAI, valued at $24 billion. Supporters on X, like Blake Linton, see him as humanity's last hope. His companies face scrutiny Tesla's NHTSA probes, Neuralink's ethical concerns, but his impact is undeniable, reshaping energy, space, and communication. As you drift through this tale, imagine the soft glow of stars over Austin, the hum of a factory where dreams are built, the quiet of a man who carries the weight of worlds. Elon Musk, the boy who once coded a game called Blastar, now dreams of building a civilization among the stars. His life is a story of love for ideas, for humanity's future and loneliness, a solitary quest to outrun insignificance. Close your eyes. Let these words lull you and rest in the gentle promise of a journey that stretches beyond the night into the boundless cosmos where his dreams still soar.